This is Rock and Roll Roots with Steve Palec.
Hi, this is Steve Palec, the host of Rock and Roll Roots on W-KLH, and I appreciate each and every person that listens to it.
There goes the last DJ who plays when he wants to play.
However, I'm going to strongly suggest that, for once, don't listen to me. Listen to Joe K on Play That Rock and Roll.
There goes the last human voice. And there goes the last DJ.
You know Steve Dahl?
Oh, yeah, Chicago,
Yeah.
right? Disco
Right.
Demolition Night?
Chicago. Right, exactly. That's where I was going with it. Although, I think of Steve Dahl, and I'll never forget the words he told me, which were some of the most important words of advice I ever got on radio. But he was the guy that, was on the air, one of the first shock jocks, brilliant, hated disco.
Right.
And, but at the same time, I mean, if you listen to Fleetwood Mac, Go Your Own Way, Lindsey Buckingham is emulating the Bee Gees in that song, and he'd tell you that.
Yeah.
So again, to be limited by genres it's only limiting yourself. But as long as I brought it up, I should tell you the words of advice I got from Steve Dahl. He told me, how can you, in radio, have a fake name, a fake voice, and use a fake personality and ever expect to communicate with people? Fake name, fake voice, fake personality, and you think you're going to communicate? And boy, that was a powerful piece of advice.
That's certainly not, not the formula for a lot of morning zoo shows, I take it.
Oh, yeah.
So, since you brought him up, I wasn't going to ask you, but you mentioned him. That Disco Demolition Night, were you on the radio when that happened?
No, I was still,
okay.
I was part-time. I was doing sports part-time, actually, which is how I got to meet Steve Dahl, because he had a syndicated show that was on in Milwaukee, QFM, and his morning syndicated show. And I was doing sports reports for a couple different radio stations, just like 1 minute morning updates on sports that I'd pre-recorded the night before. And so my sports reports were inserted into Steve Dahl's morning radio show.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember what it was like hearing about Disco Demolition Night? Was it like funny, or was it cringy, or like what was like the general feel of how that happened? Because there's been in the years since, there's been a lot of people who've revisited it, and there's been some criticism of it, and there's been some sort of celebration of it. What was it like at the time?
That's a great question, because in retrospect, it seems absurd.
Yeah.
For a baseball purist,
Oh,
I was, I didn't want anything, 162 games have to be played. And they go into the statistics that get compared to everything that's been happening for 100 years. And as a baseball purist, how do you justify affecting the statistical aspect of a championship season? That's how I felt.
wow.
But look at it now, and I think, what, you idiot? Don't you have anything better to worry about? And then also at the time, it was, not to politicize it, but, now I can see how people get manipulated by whatever source they choose for their news or for their perspective on life. Because I was living in that anti-disco era. I mean, I was raised on rock and roll and the purity of rock and roll, and I didn't want anything to do with disco. I didn't want any aspect of it seeping into my persona. But I look back on it and realize, you know what? One of the earliest disco songs was the Hughes Corporation, Rock the Boat.
Oh, yeah.
It's an infectious, fun song. And why did I decide not to enjoy any aspect of that? You know what? Casey and the Sunshine Band, I'm not going to have it played at my wedding, but I will tell you this, that, you know, if I hear it, I'm not going to throw up. And in that era when it came out, I probably would have tried to act like I did want to regurgitate.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know, shame on me for, you know, not being open to any type of music, because it's a tried and true saying, but there are only two types of music, good and bad. You're the judge of it.
I heard somebody say, let's go and burn them all down.
For once, don't listen to me. Listen to Joe K on Play That Rock and Roll. Okay, now you can come back to it.
Action.